Okay, good evening, everyone. We'll go ahead and get started. My name is Paul Blahunk. I'm chair of Vote Lake Bluff. Welcome and thank you for being here tonight. We will be going through 3 different board candidates: District 65, the elementary school district, District 115 for the high school, and our Park Board of Commissioners. I see some familiar faces, but probably some new ones. I assume there's more than a few people here who have maybe never been to a Vote Lake Bluff meeting. So allow me to take a couple of minutes to just explain what our organization is all about. We are a apolitical, grassroots group of Lake Bluff volunteers, residents just like yourselves. It's been around for a long time. Years ago, it operated under the guise of the Lake Bluff School Caucus, but as we realized there were more than just the school boards that ran candidates under the consolidated elections every other year, we changed our name to Vote Lake Bluff, 8 or 10 years ago. And really our sole remit is this forum tonight. All of our work over the past several months culminates in these town meetings. Last night we heard from candidates for the Lake Bluff Library and the Village of Lake Bluff, and tonight the aforementioned 3 boards. We work with the various boards to identify the key issues and challenges, and we make those visible on our website. And if needed, we will do our best to work amongst our various networks of colleagues and neighbors in the greater Lake Bluff area to encourage people to run for these positions. We all love Lake Bluff, and it takes work. It takes a lot of dedicated work and time and talent for these boards to be able to interject with these various entities. So we appreciate that. So like I said, everything culminates with tonight. We're here to really do 4 things. You will have maybe your only chance to hear from the candidates. You know, this is not a national election where everybody has predetermined ideas about who they're going to fill in the oval for. Most municipal elections, it's a very low voter turnout. They happen in the first Tuesday in April of the odd-numbered years, and myself included, most people go into those ballot boxes and they look at names. They have no idea who those people are, what they represent, and if they like the sound of a name, they get the vote. So we hope that we all get educated with these meetings and can make a much more informed decision about who we're voting for. Some pretty important decisions on a local level. So you'll have a chance to hear from the candidates. You'll have a chance to query the candidates by a note card system. So if anybody in the audience wants to ask a question, raise your hand. Our team will come around with note cards. They'll hand them to you. You can write your question. The volunteers on the side here, they will filter through the questions, and if there's almost identical questions, we'll make sure the question gets answered in a way, but we'll try to get most, if not all, of the questions answered. And then we typically would have a ballot, and if you've been to past Vote Lake Bluff meetings, you would have already have a ballot in your hand in exchange for your completed affidavit. We've changed our rules of procedure. There were some good constructive criticism that we received from the community after the 2022 Vote Lake Bluff meeting. And we felt to encourage people to really come in, pay attention, be engaged, and then make that endorsement. We would be handing out the ballots after we've heard all the Q&A. Now that would be in a situation of a contested election, which means there's more candidates than there are board positions, which happened 2 years ago in for a couple of the boards. We, for better or worse, don't have that situation tonight. So all of the candidates will, I hope they will continue the petition process, and you'll see their names on the ballot in April. But in terms of the Vote Lake Bluff endorsement, I'll just ask for a simple show of hands. So it will make things a lot quicker, and that's how we plan to operate tonight. Okay. So I want to thank the candidates and the volunteers. Thank you both for being here, and this is not a one-person job, and I really appreciate my team that has been helping me along the way these past several months. I'd like to acknowledge them now. So Vote Lake Bluff includes myself, Tim Penich, Dave Anderson, Owen, I know there's a couple of Dave Andersons in town, Lynette Foss, Lane Bennett, Neil Dahlman, Charlie Hamlin, Rich Pless, Polly Richardson, Jill Rosa, and Jan Schnobrick. So please join me in a nice round of applause for these folks. So the way this will work is the candidates have prepared a 2-minute statement of candidacy. We'll allow them to give those statements. We have Ron and Liz up here keeping a close eye on the timer. And unlike last night when we didn't have a whole lot of candidates, I am going to ask all the candidates in attendance tonight to please adhere to their time limits. When we get to the Q&A, they'll have 1 minute to reply to any question, and Ron and Liz and myself will keep you honest on that. Okay, so let's get started. I've got these in alphabetical order, so we'll start with Richard Driver.
My name's Richard Driver, and I'm on the board now by appointment, and I'm running now for the 2-year term that Andy Duran, when he left, made vacant. So I want to finish that term.
Richard, put the mic a little bit closer.
Sorry. So by way of background, I've been in Lake Bluff for 36 years. I've had 3 daughters that have gone through the public school in Lake Bluff, graduated Lake Forest High School. In education, I have a math and an economics degree and an MBA in finance. I spent 2 years in the Army and then 27 years with Cargill, an agribusiness multinational, as in positions of finance and general management. For the last 17 years, I've been a substitute teacher at District 65. I've been in every classroom, every subject, every grade level. And I think that's given me some valuable perspective and insight that I can help me be effective as a board member. I also participated in the review of the mission and the vision statement in 2023. So our goal overall, in a nutshell, is for the continuous improvement of every student each year, to get them ready to go to the next level. And the reason I want to be on the board is because I think I can help in 3 ways on this. One is I want to ensure that we support our teachers and the paraprofessionals in our schools. They're the cutting edge. They're the ones that get these students ready. Secondly, we have a lot of good students. They work hard. They're dedicated. We have good teachers. But there's a few who struggle every year, and we need to identify these students early. We need to get plans for them. We need to get them help and get them back on track. Finally, and I know I'm out of time, but I'm running over. Financially, we're going to face some difficult times in the next couple of years with rising costs as we ensure that we're competitive in attracting and retaining staff. I want to ensure that every single dollar of taxes that you entrust with us is spent towards achieving that goal of every student, improving, continuous improvement every student each year.
Thank you, Richard.
Thanks very much.
Appreciate it. Next, we'll hear from Tim Penich.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you all for being here tonight. My name's Tim Penich, and I've had the privilege to serve as a member of the Lake Bluff School Board for the last almost 4 years. My wife and I have lived in Lake Bluff since 2015. We have 2 sons, both of whom are students at Lake Bluff Elementary School. Professionally, I'm an architect who specializes in historic preservation. Although I'm a parent of kids in the district, I believe as a member of the Board of Education, my duty is to represent all residents of the district, whether or not they have children in our school. I'm a firm believer in public education, and I believe a strong public school system benefits the entire community. Being a member of the Board of Education has been an incredibly fulfilling experience, and I'm grateful every day that the voters of the district have entrusted me to serve in this role. The district has accomplished many things over the past few years, from partnering with the Lake Forest School Districts on the development of the Portrait of a Learner competencies, to the negotiation of a new collective bargaining agreement with our teachers. I'm particularly proud of our strategic plan, which was finalized in the spring of 2023, and the transparent manner in which it was developed. A number of community members, staff, parents, and students were involved in this process, and over the past year, the district has been focused on beginning to fulfill the goals set forth in the plan. I feel very fortunate to serve on this board with a group of caring individuals, all of whom understand the role the board plays in the governance of the school district, and who prioritize the needs of our students, while also taking our role as stewards of taxpayer dollars very seriously. I'm proud of the current state of public education in Lake Bluff and hope to continue to represent the residents of this community on this board. Thank you.
Thank you, Tim. And next we'll hear from Carrie Steinbach.
Can I just say what they said? I'm just kidding. Okay. Hi, I'm Carrie Steinbach. My name will be Caroline Steinbach on the ballot. Don't confuse us. We're the same person. I've lived in Lake Bluff for the last 10 years. I have 5 kids in the school district, 1 at the high school, 2 at the middle, and 2 at the elementary. My background in a past life, I was a IT and logistics consultant. I ran the PTO during COVID, and I've currently been serving on the school board. I am on the policy committee. I worked with the teacher negotiations and the strategic plan, like Tim and Dick said. I love just focusing on the whole child and supporting our community teachers and students, and I would love to continue to do that. Thank you.
There is another name on your ballots, or on the agenda, I should say, tonight. It's Lauren Hirsch. Lauren could not be here tonight, but she asked me to read her statement, which I'm happy to do. Okay, my name is Lauren Hirsch, and I will be applying to run for the District 65 School Board. I apologize for not being here tonight. Thank you to Vote Lake Bluff for allowing me to submit a statement on my behalf. I live in Lake Bluff with my husband and 2 girls. Prior to moving to Lake Bluff, I was a teacher and administrator outside Columbus, Ohio. As an educator and community advocate, I am dedicated to fostering excellence in education, enthusiasm for life for every student in Lake Bluff. Serving on the board over the past 4 years has been a privilege, allowing me to actively contribute to initiatives that support student achievement, educator excellence, and strong community partnerships. I am passionate about contributing to the educational strength of our district. My commitment to providing an inclusive, high-quality educational experience for all Lake Bluff students motivates me to continue serving, building on our district's strategic plan, and supporting our vision of sustained success. Sustained success. My experience as a former teacher and current district substitute allows me to see firsthand the needs of our classrooms. In my board role, I focused on aligning our goals with the strategic vision, particularly by strengthening our core academic focus in areas like math and reading, as well as ensuring that every student has the right support they need at the right time. These efforts, along with our recent addition of an enrichment team, have been essential steps in driving student success. A primary focus currently is implementing the district's strategic plan to support students, empower staff, and responsibly manage resources. My priority is to support a high-quality learning environment as a foundation for student growth and achievement. By bolstering teacher and staff development, encouraging community engagement, and wisely managing resources, I believe we can continue to offer educational experience that attracts families to Lake Bluff. Thank you. So the way this will work, we will just go in alphabetical order in terms of who gets to first answer the question. All candidates will have a chance to answer the question, and as more questions come in, Dick, we won't put you on the spot to answer first every time. We're going to rotate who goes first. So here's our first question. What initiatives do you support to improve math and verbal achievement scores?
So we've made a big investment in the enrichment program, which is targeted at the elementary school level. And it's going to take a little time to show the results, but so far. This is enabling the classroom teachers, the first, second, third, fourth, fifth grade teachers, extra time to focus on math and language arts, math and English, to prepare the curriculum, make sure they're meeting the goals. They are standard-based goals, which means that each student has to achieve a certain minimum standard as opposed to just getting through the textbook. And I think this is going to pay dividends. It's going to take some time. It's a big investment, but I think it's been well thought through, and so far the results are good.
Thank you, Dick. And now we'll hear from Tim. If any candidates throughout the evening need me to restate the question, I'm happy to do that.
Building or kind of echoing what Dick said, I agree that the new enrichment program that was implemented this year will help free up time in the classroom to focus on math and language arts. It will also provide classroom teachers important time for development, to work with each other, to work on new strategies to better educate our children. While the math and the test scores are not where anyone wants to be, the district, I feel, recognizes this and is willing to do what is necessary to ensure our kids succeed. At the same time, not to belittle a test, but the district looks at much more than just a single test that's included in the school report card, the Illinois Assessment of Readiness. So we're looking at things more than just the tests.
Okay. I actually answered this when I sent in my little blurb. So in regards to student achievement and growth, I believe it begins with like a thorough analysis of student performance data to kind of understand where our gaps actually are. I think by identifying our achievement gaps and monitoring their progress, we can target interventions that address students' unique needs on both LA and the math. I think it just takes a balanced approach. We're seeing some of our data come back and seeing the graph bar goes up. So I think we're doing a good job, and we're committing to supporting all the students and teachers.
Another question, and this time Tim will answer first. Can you give an example of how you have been a good steward of taxpayer dollars while on the board?
Just this year, we were able to sorry, I'm not in the financial world, so I think I'm using the correct terminology, but we were able to refinance some of the debt we have from past construction, and that saved taxpayer dollars, the taxpayers approximately $150,000 over the remainder of the loans. That's just one recent example. I'd say as a board, we regularly ask questions and make sure that spending is necessary and supports student needs.
Can you give an example of how you have been a good steward of taxpayer dollars while on the board?
I pay my taxes. I'm just kidding. I was part of the negotiations committee for our teacher union contract when it expired, and I learned a lot and was able to identify a lot of times that the dollars that we spend from our taxpayers were being used. Not to go into detail, but I feel like most of the conversation was around what we're spending on and how we're spending it, and that was the most recent example besides Tim's that we've been saving money for our district.
I'm relatively new to the board. I've only been to 3 meetings so far, so I cannot point to any one thing other than I have asked certain questions, and I'm trying to get my head around all the financial book with everything. But I can say that the taxes we pay to school district is the biggest part of taxes. It accounts for, I think, 39% of the taxes. But it did go down relatively last year from $9.32 per $1,000 of estimated property value down to $9.11. Okay, so it's not much. That's the estimated value of your property. All I can say is we really have to see that keep steady or even try to decrease that share so that we're growing less than any of the other taxing entities in the town. And so I'm committed to doing that. But it'll take me a little more time than just 3 meetings.
If a substitute teacher is elected to the board, is that a conflict of interest? And I think Carrie is due to answer first.
I do not believe that it's a conflict of interest. We do a lot of professional development as board members to learn when you're supposed to put your hat on in different situations. So I make it very clear that I'm a parent when I'm speaking to teachers about my students. I make it very clear when it's a board situation that I'm wearing my board member hat. So I think that it's a conversation that we have with everybody on the board, and those that substitute teach or take other active roles in our community are aware that they need to identify what hat they're wearing that day and make sure that they don't blur the lines. But I do think it's appropriate.
Well, Lauren Hirsch and I are both substitute teachers, and there is recognized there can be a conflict, and so we are severely restricted on how much we can actually get paid from the school district each year. It's, I believe, around $1,300. And so that's only like 7 days in the classroom. So my career as a substitute teacher in Lake Bluff 65 is kind of like over with. I think that potential conflict has been recognized and addressed.
Yeah, just to follow up what Carrie and Dick both said, when a few years ago when Lauren Hirsch was asked to be or decided to be a substitute teacher, the district looked into it legally, and as Dick said, there's only a certain amount of hours and dollars that someone could make and still serve on the board. So I feel that both Dick and Lauren are doing everything they're legally supposed to with regards to that.
All right, one more question, and I think we're back to Dick to be the first responder. Have you had to deal with parents? Have you had to deal with parents interested in removing books from the school library or curriculum? How do you plan to handle this issue?
I am not aware of any parents who've approached the school to remove books. They certainly have not approached me. And I'm not aware, and I generally kind of would be if there had been some efforts to do that. Having said that, I think if I were approached, I would just ask the person to go through the established channels of being able to do that. You know, I have no problem if there's age appropriate, if there are age inappropriate books that are there, that we manage that process some way, but there is a procedure for doing it. And rather than coming to a board member, they would need to go through that process.
I have not been personally approached about this, and as far as I know, during my time on the board, we haven't had this be an issue. We do have policies in our board policies that address challenging books. We also have a newly updated policy that is in line with Illinois state law about not banning books or removing books for political reasons, and this references the American Library Association's guidelines.
He said everything I was going to say. But I will say, no, I've never been approached, but we did have a student come up with a project on her. I don't remember if it was on her own or if it was guided by school, but she decided that if there were issues with books, like how would the school be able to identify that? And she came up with a system of marking books maybe age appropriate for certain grade levels, and came and gave us a presentation at the board. And it was really cool to see somebody take initiative based off of what was going on in other neighboring communities. And like Tim said, we do have policies. That is pretty much what we make all of our decisions by. So, and it's something that we look at on a quarterly level. So that.
Okay, we did receive another question that's, I think, directed to Vote Lake Bluff and not the candidate. So I will read it and then try to address it. If there is no competition for a position, it seems, based upon vote procedures, that a candidate that may have extremely limited support will automatically get endorsed. It seems Vote Lake Bluff needs to change their procedures. So in the case of a contested election, we think it's our rules of procedure, which are available for all to read on our website, are very clear. We would give our endorsement, which really means nothing more than facilitating the petition signing process at the end of the night. If a candidate wanted to, say, use our logo to put it on a yard side or something, we would certainly allow that. But that really is the extent of our support. In a non-contested election, like what we'll be experiencing tonight, at least in terms of Vote Lake Bluff, these are individuals who have made a conscious decision to spend a lot of time and effort over the next 4 years to help our community. And we're not going to be taking a vote. I'll just ask for a show of hands, and we'll move on, and all of those candidates will get an endorsement. So in a situation like tonight where it's non-contested, you all, I'm sure, have your ideas on who's the strongest candidate up here and maybe who's the weakest, but please keep in mind, these individuals have given their time and they're committed to another 4 years of their time to help the elementary school be better. So I think that's all the support we should all ask for and appreciate. Okay, so with that, can I get a show of hands to support our District 65 candidates? Okay, thank you. Thank you again, candidates, and you can step down.